Hi, I want to explain to you a little bit about the cultural autobiography assignment. Normally, my students have a lot of questions about this, so I figured that in addition to the written instructions, I could also give you a video instead of instructions. So, different people use different analogies. I like the cultural iceberg analogy, that there are aspects of culture that are easy to see and aspects of culture that are hard to see but that are equally as important. So, on the things that are easy to see, you've got language, fine arts, holidays and festivals, folklore, dress, literature, food. That if you look at those things, you can make some intelligent guesses about, oh, this person's a part of that culture. But there are a lot of aspects of culture that are difficult to see, like beliefs and assumptions, your self-conscious, your self-concept, your relation to authority, your family roles, your core values, your manners, your interpretations, your beauty ideals, your attitude towards school, your family values, your gender roles, how you're supposed to keep yourself clean, whether or not you have notions of modesty or not, or what is appropriate in that regard, approaches to health and medicine, rules of conduct, what things you're proud about, how do you view the concept of justice, what's your attitude about the environment, what are parents supposed to do with their kids? What expectations do you have for each other or for children? What gestures are considered appropriate versus not appropriate? What's your work ethic? How much personal space do you need? Do you need a lot? Do you need a little? And what do you think is aesthetically pleasing? So these are things that people are raised with. These are messages that people give, but they are hard to see on the outside, but they are definitely on the inside. And what you're going to do is you're going to write for me a cultural autobiography. And your cultural biography is going to go in the formative category, and it's not going to function like a test. And I'm not going to take off points for this, except for if you don't do it, because I'm not grading you on writing about your culture per se. I'm grading you on whether or not you take some time to reflect upon your culture. Because as we are studying cultural geography, it is important that you are like cognizant of your own biases and what your own culture is. And sometimes in this weird universe, people tell other people that they don't have culture, especially if they're white. That's just wrong. All people have culture is and I think that that's important for people to take some time to look at the pair of glasses that they wear and sort of examine what biases they have. So, in order to teach you how to do this assignment, I wrote my own cultural autobiography because it's like weird to ask you to do something that I haven't done. And so I'm going to read for you what I wrote. And what I wrote was a page, and it did not take me longer than 20 minutes to do. And what I did is I did a brainstorm after I looked at that picture of the iceberg. I did a brainstorm of things that popped into my head about my cultural background based on looking at that picture, and then this is what I wrote. My opa, Dutch for grandfather, immigrated to the U.S. when he was 8. We were very close, and I have heard stories about the Netherlands my whole life from both him and my mom. Even though I don't speak Dutch, this has influenced me, my passion for flowers, especially tulips, my love of cheese, and my concern for the environment all flow from my Dutch roots. My dad's side of the family immigrated to the U.S. a long time ago. They were the Ebys when they started off in Switzerland, and then they migrated to England, where their name was changed to Aby. So it started off Ebbey, then it changed to Abbey, and then when they came to the U.S. immigration officials chopped it to Aby. The Abbys don't have any family lore from Europe, but they've passed on, but they have some strong family values. They emphasize success, education, are ridiculously driven. And I share these values too, but sometimes I don't define success the same way that they do. I grew up in rural Minnesota in a town until I went through high school, and almost everyone around me was white and had German or Scandinavian ancestry. We were one of the only families that didn't. Our family was considered new because we moved there in 1976 when I was 3, and because we weren't German or Swedish. But in high school, the meat processing plant in town added more shifts, and Worthington became a much more diverse community. This produced a lot of change and conflict in my hometown, where all of a sudden now there were overt conversations about race, whereas before people had received covert messages about race, but now they were having real conflicts in my town. My parents never gave me any negative messages about people of color, but I was shocked to learn that this wasn't true from other people's families. One summer during college, I worked in medical records at the local clinic, and while I was 19, most of my colleagues were over 25, and I was totally offended to hear the language that some of them use to describe our patients who are people of color. Or to describe people in the news. And I think they found me to be an annoying college kid because I kept correcting them and would tell them that it is never acceptable to use the N-word. My mom majored in Asian history, so every year when I was growing up, we'd have house guests who were studying in the U.S. from Japan stay with us, which piqued my interest in other countries, cultures, and languages. Additionally, my parents really valued the ability to speak foreign languages, so they sent me to language camps every summer. First to study Spanish in elementary school and then to study Russian in high school. And they passed on their passion for languages and travel. And I have been to 17 countries. One thing my family did never really discuss was sexuality. I think they assumed everybody in the world was straight. I was never introduced to any other person that was gay until I went to college. I was the first person to come out of my family, and they were really supportive, and everyone came to my wedding, even though it was the first gay wedding they'd ever been to, and I appreciated the fact that they loved me for who I am. Now that I'm a parent, I think a lot about what messages I'm sending my daughter, and I hope that she will want to learn that family, compassion, and education are important. So that's what I wrote for my autobiography, trying to analyze what messages I've received about how I'm supposed to behave and what I'm supposed to be and how I'm supposed to act. In the past, my students have analyzed what types of holidays they practice, what messages they've received about from their family about what type of woman or man they're supposed to become, what they're supposed to do, what they're not supposed to do. But really, I just want you to take some time to reflect upon your culture and what cultural messages you have received so that you can be an excellent geographer.